Hi everyone, I'm Julia Jornsay-Silverberg. I am a UB alum and I am the owner of Bravery Beats, a boutique marketing agency that really does all things when it comes to digital marketing. We build brand ambassador programs, we do high-level consulting for organizations, we build content calendars, we execute social media strategies. We really do everything. We make logos, we build websites, all the things. And I absolutely love social media. I have been working in social media in a variety of capacities for the last 10 plus years. And I have really learned a lot about how to use social media in a meaningful way and how to use it in a way that's sustainable. A lot of people deal with burnout when it comes to social media, and I really like to try to help empower people to find a way to be not just authentic and human on social media, but to really be a smart social media executor so that they can really be sustainable and show up day after day, month after month, year after year. So I'm super excited to share what I've got with you guys. So, as I told you guys, I graduated from the University of Buffalo. I have worked for over 10 years in social media marketing, and I have worked in a number of different roles. I own my own business, but I also have worked at agencies, and I also used to work one of my first actually ever job was at the Buffalo News, but I also worked at our regional chamber of commerce, the Buffalo Niagara Partnership. So I have a unique lens when it comes to seeing how agencies work and for-profit companies across a lot of different industries from being on the agency side, but I also used to work at a nonprofit being the Buffalo Niagara Partnership. So I really understand the nonprofit world as well. So at my core, I believe that every single person has a bright light. Everyone has something unique within them that they can bring to the table, and social media is an excellent place to do it. And it's not easy to do it, but it is up to you to decide that you're going to do it. No one's ever going to give you permission or tell you, like, hey, now's the time to show up on social media, right? You have to make that decision yourself. But I fully believe that when you do, you will start to see how much it can really change your life. So, like I told you guys, I went to UB. I also, through my education and getting involved with like marketing, and that's what I concentrated in at UB, I started to really get into Seth Godin. And I don't know if you guys know who Seth Godin is. I'll share a little bit about him in a second, but I actually happened to meet Seth Godin at my first job because Seth came to the Buffalo News to speak. And I don't know if you guys know Seth, but he is very big in the marketing world. He's the author of 18 books that have been bestsellers around the world that have been translated into a bunch of different languages. And he writes about the way that ideas spread. He writes about marketing, quitting, leadership, and changing things, changing systems, changing thinking. And he hosted this conference that you had to apply to get into. It was called Ruckus Makers. And because I had met him in person at the Buffalo News, I was like, okay, I'm going to cross my fingers. I applied for this workshop and I was selected as one of 70 people out of thousands of applicants for this exclusive weekend workshop with Seth. And it was through Ruckus Makers that I learned so much. I ended up leaving with so many different nuggets that really helped me in creating my business and what it is today. But one of the things that he asked all of us at the conference was, would they miss you if you were gone? And that was a question that for me really honestly ended up kind of starting my career as I know it now. Because I realized if I answered that question honestly when I was at that conference, I was working at the Buffalo Niagara Partnership, and I didn't feel like I would be missed if I was gone. And it really got me thinking. I started thinking about, ooh, hold on. I started thinking about what I would need to do if what would I have to do in order to be missed, right? And I realized I would need to go deeper. I would need to be more unique. And I started thinking about the creators that do that. And it was creators like Lisa and creators like My Face Story, people who were doing things differently on social media. I was like, if they stopped showing up, I would miss them. And I didn't really feel like what I was doing at the partnership, if I stopped doing it, a lot of people would miss it. I didn't feel like it was authentic to me or unique to me. I felt like anyone could really do what I was doing. But I saw these creators that were taking up space in a unique way and talking about things in a different way than most people seemed to talk about things. And I was like, these are the people that I would miss. And it made me realize that surface level content generates surface level responses. And that is what allowed me to realize that what I wanted to be known for online is something that I like to refer to as the anti-highlight reel. If you follow me on Instagram, which you'll see my corner at the bottom, you'll see my handle in the corner at the bottom of every slide here. It's jbethjs across basically every platform. You will see that my approach to social media is not just showing the perfect, polished, pretty moments. I also show the less than glamorous moments. And I've seen by doing that, I have been able to grow my business. I've been able to get brand deals, and I've been able to build really transformative relationships because I'm not just trying to show one side. I'm willing to show the full gamut of things and show when I'm not that happy or when I'm not feeling motivated, because people don't want to just see those perfect, polished moments because it's not relatable. And again, I've seen that firsthand through my platforms. I have videos that have gone viral on TikTok, and I've been able to grow my following on those platforms because I've shared less than glamorous moments. And I've been able to get brand deals with major brands, and they see that I publish that less than glamorous content, and they still want to work with me because they know that I have an audience that really trusts me. So today I want to go through how we kind of got to where we are today in the world when it comes to the web and social media. We're going to talk about the power of social media, what the humans system is, and then we're going to just put it all together. And if you guys have any questions, I'm always here to kind of ask your questions at the end. So the web has evolved a lot since it started. When the internet started, it was literally this like one-way source of information. It was read only. You could read different articles and things like that. We then evolved to Web 2, where it was more participatory, and that is literally social media. We were able to start having conversations, and the next kind of iteration where things are heading is kind of this, it's a decentralized place, and at its core, it's all about immersive experiences. So Web 1, like I told you guys, it was like Google, then social, and now we're in this place where exclusive access and experiences is at the top of what everyone is looking for. The more that brands do that, the more they're able to capture attention and create loyalty for their business. And while personally, I'm not a fan of Travis Scott, he is a great example for his ability of leaning into kind of the decentralized world, because during COVID, he decided to host a concert using a digital avatar. So he did this from the comfort of his home. He had this digital avatar, and this concert was attended by something like 20 million people, and it made him over $10 million. And so it's just an incredible example of how leaning into these different forms of kind of media allows you to really capture attention from your audience online. I have to apologize for the delay in the slides. It's kind of going on a little bit of a lag. So if I go back and forth with slides, you guys will understand why. So now that we kind of understand how we got to where we are and why exclusive access is so important, that's going to become more important when I kind of talk about user-generated content, because there's a little bit of that kind of, they connect. So let's talk about the power of social media, because social media lets us as individuals and businesses do so much. Firstly, you can understand your audience very well by using social media. Yeti is a great brand that really understands this, because they literally had retired an entire product line and they brought it back because of their social listening capabilities. They kept hearing through social listening people talking about this one particular line that they had retired. They didn't think that there was extreme interest in it. They brought it back and saw record sales because they did an entire campaign around the concept of you asked and we listened. Social media also lets us show off our personality. And I love the example here of the Commercial Collection Corp of New York. Everyone loves dogs and babies. And so when you can add a little bit of dogs or a little bit of babies into your brand humor, if that's aligned for your brand, that's always going to do well. And this little bit of humor and kind of personality for the brand was a really smart move, because they tend to be in an industry where you don't see a lot of personality. Social media also allows us to connect to customers. Coco Kind is a brand that I will talk about forever, because they understood this very, very early on, way before you can get their products now in Target. But like when this brand first started, way before they had distribution in major retailers, they had the strategy of sending their products to a bunch of major influencers all over the country. In doing so, they were able to generate user-generated content. So rather than just showing their product on this like white background that looks kind of boring and stale and sterile, they had their customers creating content and sharing quotes and taking pictures, because that's way more human, and you're going to believe that and be more influenced by that than just a picture of the product with a white background. User-generated content works, and these stats go to show it. It is the most powerful form of content, and it is why I feel so passionately about creating ambassador programs. That's a huge thing that my business does, is we help create ambassador programs for other businesses, because getting a library of user-generated content is the best thing that a brand can invest in. Again, the stats are just so powerful. I'm not even speaking to them. I'm just letting you guys kind of read them yourselves. It works time and time again. There are a million different stats you can find about UGC. I just picked 6. It is content gold. And the more that a brand can focus on getting their product into the hands of customers that already love them and getting content out of that, the better off they're going to do on social media and the more sales they're going to drive. Social media is also powerful because it lets us collaborate with partners. So I love the example of Rachel's Good Eats. She is a Seattle-based food blogger, and she collaborated with this ice cream shop, Frankie and Joe's. She makes this cookie skillet thing. They make ice cream. And so for Ice Cream Sandwich Day, they collaborated, and there was a line of people wrapped around the block. This local ice cream shop had never seen that kind of foot traffic. And it was because they had an influencer with over 600,000 followers collaborate with them on something for a particular day, in the instance, ice cream sandwich day. And it went gangbusters. So it's, again, just so powerful to collaborate with partners, influencers. And again, social lets us grow brand awareness. Siete Foods is a brand like Coco Kind that understood the power of getting mass awareness for their product. They also, before they were in major retailers, before Siete was bought by, I think it was Pepsi not that long ago, Siete used to send boxes. I literally got one back in the day. I got a PR box from Siete. They used to send boxes of their product to influencers, small and large, all over the country, just to get their name out there. And again, that's a huge reason as to why they were able to sell to Pepsi for like some astronomical number. I don't know offhand, but if you literally Google sale of Siete, you will find it. It's a very large number, and that brand started off with a small family. And again, just the power of social media. But it would be irresponsible for me to just talk about the power of social media without at least addressing the downside of social media, because you guys honestly understand it more than I do, because you're younger than me. And there are downsides to social media, because the reality is what a lot of people do on social media is show off their best. A lot of people show off their best selfies. They take 100 photos and they only show you the best 2. They're showing off their vacations, their brunches, they're showing off the best moments of their day. And it is very easy then for us to fall victim into thinking that there are no bad moments in their day. It's why I like to show those less than glamorous moments in my day too, because I don't like to add to what social media becomes, which is a place where a lot of people have all this comparison because they feel like their life isn't as good as other people, or they are not as pretty as other people. Yet they don't know that those people are using apps like Facetune or constantly using facial filters in their stories, right? And these things really do influence our mindset. And so, again, the downside of social media, the vanity metrics, right? It influences our mindset if we don't get a lot of likes on a post. But all those vanity metrics, number one, I can promise you, they actually don't mean that much. I have been able to get really good paid brand deals with a small following that match and rival brand deals that some of my creator friends with 30, 40, 80,000 followers get. So vanity metrics are actually not as important as you might think. And even Instagram understands that, because Instagram created the functionality for people to be able to hide the number of likes, because they realized that it was bad for people's mental health. And if you just Google social media and mental health, you will see so many different articles that talk about how much social media negatively impacts our mental health. And so it is to say, I think it's really important to talk about that, because you have to be aware of that when you are a social media consumer. You have to be aware that people are showing off their best so that you don't fall victim to the comparison, and so that you use these platforms mindfully so that they're not disrupting your mental health. And another downside of social media, for sure, and I will tell you this from the business side, there's a huge overemphasis on ROI. Sometimes businesses don't fully understand that social media is not this immediate, up, you put up a post and now you're going to drive a whole bunch of sales. A lot of people also think, oh, well, you go viral and that's going to, sometimes you go viral and it translates into a lot of sales. Sometimes you go viral and it doesn't translate into a lot of sales. And so it's very, very important to talk about the ROI, because it's a very long-term game when it comes to social media. Another downside, social media is extremely time consuming. It takes so much time if you are doing it right. Because if you're doing social media today, you are literally doing all of these different things. You're making a strategic plan, writing content, making videos, creating graphics, you're monitoring hashtags, analyzing post performance, strategizing new ideas, engaging with the community, you're answering questions, and you're creating reports. And those are just a few things. I could probably add another 10 things to this list if you gave me another few minutes. And the thing is, in doing all of these different things require different skills and capabilities. So in green, you see all of these things. You have to have all of these things. You have to be creative, analytical, a strategic thinker. You have to be charismatic and an editor and a graphic designer and adaptable and well-informed and responsive and friendly. It's so, so much. And so it's to say, when you measure the downside with the upside, you do realize time and time again, as an individual and as a business, it's worth investing in because it's extremely cost effective. There are endless opportunities. As many ideas as you have is as many posts as you can create. You get to decide every single thing that you create, especially from a personal brand standpoint. You get to decide how like quirky you're going to be, or personal or professional, like how much your voice is going to kind of like be dictated by kind of how you want to show up, right? Like, what is your brand voice? You get to decide all of that. I've decided that I'm okay showing the anti-highlight reel. So I'm okay talking about what it's like to have a panic attack and or the insights that come from having a panic attack. And even Scrub Daddy has realized we actually enjoy having a personality online. The Scrub Daddy TikTok is ridiculous. They have such an unhinged personality and it works for them. They keep growing their following by the day. They have over 3, maybe even over 4 million followers at this point. Like my screenshot is old. They keep growing. And social media is humanizing. That's a huge thing. It allows you to really create connections. Someone who I consider a mentor in the space from a long time ago is a guy named Brian Fanzo, and he always talks about how you can turn handshakes into hugs. And I literally met him online, and it was then in my attending the world's largest social media conference, Social Media Marketing World, which takes place in San Diego. I went to that conference and I was able to meet him in person and see him speak. And we were able to take our online friendship and turn it into a real life friendship. And even more powerful than that, what actually ended up happening 2 years later is I continued that relationship with him. And then he introduced me to this woman, Jessica Phillips. And I ended up working at Jessica Phillips's marketing agency for a few years in the height of the pandemic. And so it's just to say you end up meeting people and making these connections with people that you just never really know where it's going to go. And social media can be really powerful because what works on social media works in real life. People care about the quality more than the quantity. It is more important for you to put out quality content than for you to put out 10 posts a week. It's more important for you to have quality friends than like 200 acquaintances, right? Quality is always going to matter more, and humanity. People care about your humanity. And in a world where there is so much AI and chat GPT like stuff, people just want to see the human side of you and your business. So I have this system that I've been teaching for a number of years. It's called the Humans System. And this is the way for you to essentially cut through the clutter online. And I love an acronym. So we're going to go through the steps in the system. It starts with H, which is all about having a plan. So when you're thinking about planning for social media, the first thing you need to think about is your target audience. Who are you talking to? And how are you speaking to them? Your tone of voice is critical, and you need to think about what are the tools and the resources you're using, because as we talked about before, a lot goes into social media. So you need to be really aware of your bandwidth and what are the tools? Like, are you using something like a Later? Or, I mean, there are a million tools that you can use for social media. Or are you doing things manually? Because I've got to say, my agency, we actually do a lot of things more manually because we've actually found that sometimes the tools, you get kind of lost in the sauce with the tools and you end up kind of tinkering with all these things and not getting to the heart of what actually matters, which is the quality of the content. You also need to make sure that you're getting buy-in. That's huge, especially for organizations. When I'm consulting with organizations and we're talking about our social strategy, I'm constantly saying, okay, but how are we getting the team to participate? How are we getting them excited? Because some of the workload is going to fall on them. You also want to plan for your calls to action. What are we going to ask people to do as a result of looking at our content? You want to have calls to action. You want to be asking your audience to do something, even if it's just a comment below or like leave a heart or something or to think about something. It doesn't even have to be something as concrete as like click this link, but you want to be planning for your calls to action so that the ones that are very important, when you have something like a really important form you want people to fill out, you have found a way to strategically infuse that call to action into the content. And how are you planning for measurement? How are you determining what is successful? What are those metrics? Right? I used to run a live show at the old agency that I worked for. And the only reason why that live show was successful was because I made a plan like this, was because before we even had episode 8, I was already thinking about episode 21 of the live show because I was planning that far ahead to be really thinking through what is our guest list? What are the topics that we're thinking of? So now that we know why planning is so important, it goes into understanding your special sauce, which is like what sets you apart? What's your thing, right? People say time and time again, the reason why they follow me is my energy. They're like, yeah, we like the this or we like the that, but like we follow you because we like the vibes, right? And I will tell you, I really swear, I know that I'm very good at social media and I'm very good at marketing, but when I tell you, I swear that a lot of my clients hire me because the vibes. And yes, I bring a certain level of expertise, but they like me and they trust me. That is what you want to be able to do on social media. You want to bring your personality forward, whatever is the thing that sets you apart, whatever is the thing that all of your friends and family would remark on is like, oh, that's so them. You know, that is what you want to be able to bring into your business because that is really what matters. And that is like showing that on social media. People love to see that because it's not about the platform, it's about the personality. So next, it comes down to making a commitment to show up. Now that you know what sets you apart and what you're going to kind of bring forward, you need to then decide that you're going to do that. So firstly, again, it comes down to being yourself. Don't try to be the next Emily Kaiser or Alex Earl or whoever. You really just need to own who you are and bring that forward. Because again, I used to do a live show, and when I tell you the comments would always, people would be like, it doesn't matter what the subject is, we're going to tune in. And people would be like, I'm going to subscribe to you now. Love your broadcasts. Someone was like, consistency over everything. We adore you because you show up every Wednesday. I made an appointment with my audience and I made that commitment. I did a live show I think it was over 5 years, every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. Because I set that appointment with my audience, they came to know and trust me. And I would go live sometimes just for 10 minutes, sometimes for 30 minutes, sometimes for 40 minutes. But I went live every single Wednesday. And also, I will tell you, that is how I became so comfortable doing things like this, public speaking, right? Is because you are on the fly, you are live. There is no editing here, there's no nothing. And that allows you to grow your skills at such a fast rate. If you want to get better at something, you just have to do it. You have to put in the man hours and do it. And that's what I decided to do. And my audience saw that commitment and they appreciated it and respected it. And it is what has allowed me to grow my trust with my audience, is because I did that live show for so long. Like, some of my most loyal followers are people who literally started following me through the live show and have just stuck with me for years, because I have not done that live show in over 5 years. But I have a ton of followers who are still from that time. Right. And again, just making the commitment to being yourself. I'm goofy, and Canyon Bakehouse and is like a partner that I've been working with for years. They make gluten-free bread. If you don't know, now you know. I have celiac disease, so I'm always looking for the gluten-free things. And Bakehouse is one of my favorite brands. And I'm always like being goofy. I'm like, can I make the buns as eyes? Like, and they're like, yes, do what you want to do on camera, because we're here for your personality. Another thing, when it comes to making that commitment, you need to engage often. Every single time that you get a comment as an individual online or as a brand online, you want to be trying your best to respond to all of those comments, because at the end of the day, consistency plus value equals community. You have to show up consistently and provide value in order to create a community online. So the next thing is all about asking questions to involve your audience. You want to make your audience a part of what you're doing. You want to involve them in that conversation. So one of the things that I would do at my role at Now Marketing Group, the old agency that I worked at, is I would involve our audience. I'd ask them questions. I'd be like, hey, if you guys had to get rid of every social media channel and you could only pick one, what would you keep? And for an agency to get 20 comments on a post, as a small agency that was based or is based in Ohio, we were like, I mean, when I tell you, the president of the agency, she was like, how did you get 20 comments? People just want to be asked questions. They want to be involved in the conversation. So when you can do that, the more you can do that as a business, the better off you're going to be, and the more you're going to see your engagement grow online. The next part is N, and that's all about never stop learning, especially when it comes to social media. Every single platform is constantly changing. There are new features, there's new ways that the algorithm works. So you have to be nimble and adaptable, and you have to stay on your feet and constantly be learning. And you have to be learning about a number of different things. So one of the things you have to be learning about is literally, why do people follow you, and or why do people do business with you? Right? So I've got these screenshots here. Someone would say on my live show, thanks, I'm back for the positive attitude you always bring. Again, it was comments like that that I would get time and time again, that I was like, okay, people are following me for the vibes. They're following me for the energy. Someone sent me a DM saying, I'm having so much more fun on Instagram trying to be genuine and just genuinely interact with others. I'm so glad that you shared a better way to show up. This platform just works better when we all try to be friends. Right. And so people sending me these specific messages of saying, thanks for doing that. Right. This message here of, Julia's been so open. I don't want to let shame control my life. She was like, I was pushed to kind of step outside my comfort zone because you've talked about it. So you need to learn why people follow you. I know my audience follows me for that. You also need to learn literally about what you're doing, the platforms. I've gotten different certifications through different things like HubSpot Academy. There are so many different, LinkedIn has its own academy. I think Meta has their own academy. There are so many different certifications and ways that you can learn for free. HubSpot is not for free, but there are ways that you can learn about all these different platforms for free. And then never stop learning about the ways that things are going, the trends that you're seeing with the data of how you're kind of doing your work, and seeing whether or not what you're doing is actually working. Looking at that data and analyzing what you're seeing, going into all the different kind of tabs that exist within all of the different analytical tools within each social platform, and really kind of going piece by piece to see the trends, because you'll learn so much and then be able to evolve your strategy based on everything that you do learn. The last part of the system is all about shining a light on the connections that you make online. So I love using examples from my old agency because I was the brand manager there. And so I did all of the things when it came to social media for the agency. I ran the live show, I handled our entire content calendar, I created every single video, I edited every single video. It was really fun for me. And I think that using an agency example is always really helpful because I always think that it allows you guys, whether you envision yourself maybe after graduating, you're going to work at a company and work in their marketing department, or you want to work at an agency, or you're going to start your own thing and you need to be really mindful of how you're kind of handling your own social media. I always feel like agency examples are really helpful and applicable for this context. So when I started at that agency, one of the things that I saw was a real lack of humanity in our content. I was like, no one knows really who we are. One of the best ways to show who we are is to just kind of turn the spotlight onto the team. So what I would do is I would make a video for every single employee for their birthday and for their employment anniversary at the agency. And what I would also do is I would then say to all my other teammates at the agency, I would literally kind of like pester them and be like, hey, do you want to make a video for this person? I would always use myself as an example. I would make my little kind of guinea pig video, send it out to everyone so that they could kind of see, oh, okay, this is what we're thinking for a video. And the more that we did it, the more video submissions we got. So the longer these videos went, if you guys can see, like the Kara one is 2 minutes and 29 seconds, and the Brian one is 3 minutes. And like the more time went on, the more the rest of the team would submit to these videos and add and like go on these rambles. And the clients of our agency loved these videos. Every single person loved their own video. Like it always feels nice to get shout outs from your team and having your team be like, hey, you killed it on this project. I loved working with you. Thank you so much. Happy birthday. Every single person that this video touched, it was like engagement gold for us because the employee who got recognized would share the video. Clients would end up commenting. Sometimes the family members of the employee would share the video. And so it's just to say the more that you can really shine a light on your team, shine a light on your customers, shine a light even on yourself, the more the better. Another example I love to share here, Jara Bean is a fantastic creator and she is really, really goofy. And it's to say, she is someone who really kind of bucks the trend of old school thinking. A lot of people always used to think like, oh, you can't show the goofy side of yourself online because that's not professional, or you can't show the human and vulnerable side of yourself online because that's not professional. Jara is an example of doing all of the things and still getting very, very professional and credible accolades. Jara consults for major brands. She has spoken for literally TikTok themselves. She has done like emceeing at different social media conferences. She actually is a speaker at Social Media Marketing World, that big social media conference I mentioned earlier. And she also, in her content, as you'll see in that list here, she says, my business is social media, and the value that I share revolves around social media, but the connection comes through sharing. And she put this list there: my dogs, cheese and crackers. One thing on the list is armpit farts. This woman literally armpit farts on her story. And so when I tell you she's a perfect example of the fact that like you can be your goofy, quirky, silly self and still get incredible opportunities and major speaking gigs, like she's on a stage that so many people would kill to be on, and she's also armpit farting in her stories. So there is room for both. So to put it all together, I want you guys to remember that every single channel is different. The way that you approach your strategy on every single social media channel should be different. I treat LinkedIn very differently than I treat Instagram, right? LinkedIn is definitely my most professional platform because it is the most professional platform. And so you want to adjust your approach to every platform kind of based on the nuances of that platform. You never want to forget that social media is all about building relationships and establishing trust. If you focus on that at the core, you're going to do things right. Whereas where people go wrong on social media is really trying to make it all about a sale. People can see through that. It feels gross. No one likes it. The more that you can be authentic and genuine and really just focus again on building those connections, the better off you're going to do. Also, be patient. It takes time. I have been in the creator space for a really long time. For at least, I mean, honestly, I've been in the creator space for over 7 years and I still have a really small audience. But it's also to say, through my small audience, I have been able to grow a six-figure business. I have been able to get brand deals that pay really well. And again, it's all about relationships. I've gotten those brand deals because I've built really good relationships with the brand and the person who handles brand deals for the brand. So again, if you focus on the right things, you will see that social media can really pay off. If you focus on the wrong things and you have a very short-term mindset and you're just trying to get as many people to either follow you as quickly as possible, or you're just trying to get as many people to click your link and buy your thing, it's not going to be as sustainable and last as long as if you were to approach things in a more kind of genuine and organic way. And then lastly, try new things. That's the most fun thing to do on social media. Just try new things. Like if you have a fun idea for something, post it. Who cares if it doesn't get a lot of likes? It's not that deep. It's not that complex. No one hates you. They were just busy and didn't even see it, and or they scrolled right past it. Like I promise you, as someone who has created thousands of pieces of content for myself and for brands, I promise you, the less you overthink, the better. You'll be it's like a gift to give yourself, to just give yourself permission to post what you want and not overthink it. So you really want to remember at the end of the day to be authentic and be real. I love Sophie Jaffe as a creator, and I love using this as an example. She is someone who posts also, she takes an anti-highlight reel approach. So I love her. She's a creator with a really big audience. I think she has like 300,000 followers. And she posted something when her mom died. She posted this really, really beautiful post. It was really thoughtful. And she generated this beautiful discussion in the comments because she was just human. She showed up and she talked about death, and a lot of people online, and especially in American culture, feel very uncomfortable talking about death. And she brought something that is kind of taboo to talk about, and she brought it front and center. She was really human and genuine about it, and it was a remarkable post, and it generated a lot of like she got a lot more followers because a ton of her audience shared it with their audiences to be like, wow, this woman, look at this post. This is beautiful. More people need to talk about this. And so she's just a great example of humanity online. You want to be consistent and be familiar. Rachel Goodeats will forever be my example for that because this woman has been showing up online for over 10 years, doing the same thing for over 10 years, posting her workouts, posting her recipes. Both of those are very, very good. She's in insane shape. She has the best form. She is someone who's fantastic to follow if you're into food and fitness. You also want to be brave and be different. And another person who I love following in the fitness industry, I will say Rachel Goodeats and Whitney Simmons are two of my favorites. I think that they are fantastic creators. They offer really different things. But one of the reasons why I love Whitney Simmons is because she is brave online. She talks about her mental health. She also talks about psoriasis. She talks about things that a lot of people in the fitness industry, especially in an industry that is so image obsessed, her talking about psoriasis and talking about something that is not very pretty from an image standpoint in a very image obsessed niche is a very brave thing to do. And I really admire her for doing that. And she's gotten a lot of kudos, and it's allowed her to grow her audience as well. And it has allowed her to also get insane deals. Like she did an entire like merch line with Gymshark, which is a partner of hers. And they're like an amazing apparel brand. They did a whole like mental health line with Whitney because she's been open and sharing about her mental health online. So again, she's just a great example of someone who's brave and who is definitely worth a follow because of how she approaches social media. And lastly, you want to be inspiring and entertaining. And it's why I love Duolingo on TikTok. They are hilarious. They're very, very entertaining. And they post things that, again, them and Scrub Daddy, you see these posts, and sometimes, at least for me, I'm like, I cannot believe that like a marketing department was like, yeah, we're gonna post this. Sometimes it just feels like so kind of like wild, but that is why they've built such huge audiences is because they're willing to like be a little wild and do things that most brands don't do. So at the end of the day, your audience, they want to hear your story. They want to see the real you. So it's just all about you giving yourself permission to show up. So thank you guys so much for having me. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to kind of open it up. I know we still have time, but I always like to leave time for questions and kind of conversation if you guys have anything.
Have there been any points where you've been close to going back and going away from your personal branding a little bit?
What do you mean, like not like just
Have you ever been discouraged going into social media? Because as you said, it can be quite difficult in some areas.
Yeah, I had a moment the other week of feeling discouraged. Those moments absolutely happen. I had a moment literally of being like, I know that my content is good. I have friends that have really large followings, and I've had a number of people, enough people at this point in my like content career tell me you should have a bigger audience than you do. And I had a moment the other week of feeling discouraged and being like, oh, I wish that it were bigger. And at the end of the day, honestly, the way that I like overcome those moments is the reality is that I am like so much I self-describe, I say that I have a border collie like personality and energy. Like I'm like blah, 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 blah. I love to yap. I love making content. It's a fun creative outlet for me. So at the end of the day, what always allows me to kind of get over those moments of feeling discouraged is that like I would do this whether or not the results were there because it's fun for me. I really do enjoy doing it. I love editing videos. Like I fall into a wormhole when I edit videos. And so I would not recommend to anyone to like try to become a creator if creating content is actually not something that you find fun, because at the end of the day, that will then burn you out. It really will. But if it's something that's fun to you, I think you need to lean into it. And it's to say, if it's not fun, there are ways that you can still show up online and make it useful for your business, but you don't have to do it to the degree that, let's say, I do. I'm on a bunch of platforms, I'm active in a lot of places. So you get to self-select how much you're going to kind of put out there.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have a question. I had a question just based off of what you were saying. So say for your business, you do have the opportunity to hire someone for social media. What would be good things to look at when hiring a person?
So I would say one thing that whenever I'm hiring someone for social media, I always want to know what their favorite platform is and why. I think that gives you a lot of insight into someone, just in their brain, like if just the reasons why they like specific platforms. You also want to see their ability to write for different voices and or different platforms. So the way that you would like naturally craft a post for LinkedIn would be really different than how you would craft something for TikTok. And so I would want to see that they're able to take one kind of concept and write a post for different platforms for it. And I would also honestly just like, I'd ask them how much time they tend to spend on their phone because a good social media manager, unfortunately, tends to be someone who's pretty glued to their phone and kind of like chronically online. Like, if you think that an acceptable response time is 48 hours, it's not to be rude, but like you're not the best social media manager, because a social media manager knows that even 24 hours can sometimes like feel like forever in the world of social media. So those would kind of be some of the things that I would ask.
No, for sure. Awesome. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, of course.
I had a
Well,
question. Oh, I'm
oh,
sorry.
oh no, you can go ahead. It's great that you're asking questions.
My question was more about the different types of content. I see a lot of pages out there now that are so focused on educational content instead of more just like a casual video. Where do you see the most appropriate time to use like those different types of content?
That's a great question, Noah. I feel like honestly, I really advise a lot of my clients to make a content calendar where you kind of have like different buckets that your content falls into. So sometimes your content is going to be educational. Sometimes it's going to be, like you said, like casual, lifestyle-y. Sometimes it's going to be promotional. Sometimes it will be both, right? Sometimes it might be educational and promotional, but it's to say you kind of have these buckets. And the way that I like to look at like what's most appropriate is you never want to stack the same bucket on top of each other post after post. So when it comes to educational content, because like you said, a lot of like people tend to like the more lifestyle-y casual content more because it's easier to consume. But the educational content is important for credibility building and for just kind of translating your message. And especially if it's like complex topics. Like one of my clients is Goodwill, and it is not easy. Like I can't, in a 60-second little video clip, I am not able to explain to you guys everything that Goodwill does and the impact that Goodwill has on the community and how 90 cents of every dollar spent at Goodwill goes directly back into the community to help with the workforce development programs. Like it's a bigger conversation. And then to talk about how the donations impact things, like it's not easy to just convey that in a little casual video. So sometimes we are doing educational content that is more dense, but we're doing that maybe once every 10 days because we don't want to do it too much. Whereas more of that casual content is done at a higher cadence. Maybe we're doing that literally every other day because it's more approachable.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it seems like nobody else will be asking their questions or forever hold your peace, but we'll be ending the Zoom tonight. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending this week's masterclass. And thank you so much, Julia, for hosting this masterclass and giving your experiences. It was really insightful.
Of course, I'm always happy to do anything with the CoLab. I love the whole team. You guys are amazing. You do such great work and you're providing such a good service to the students. And Noah, you're the best for being here. You're the best for asking questions. You're the best at taking photos. So yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. And it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.